فاتحة تاني؟
نعم.
تدريب المسجد؟
تفضل. نعم تفضل اشرب. الله يبارك فيك. تفضل مزمل.
What's the best way to make tea?
The best way to make tea?
Yeah.
That's a hard question. You have to ask somebody that question who's made all the types of teas. I'm just a beginner. From the ways of making tea is make the tea from your heart. Never serve something that you yourself wouldn't drink. That's a fact. One of the most important secret ingredients, what's the secret ingredient shake? Why does it taste? I had the same thing, it didn't taste the same in the house because you ain't making it with the same energy, the same spirit. That's right. That's number one. Qaida al-ula is make the tea what? From the cup. That's Mo Julie, I don't. I clearly said it was what? I said the father. No, I'm just saying it's the added. Mo Julie. If you don't take advantage of it, what? Hey, but that's your problem, brother. I can't force you to drink, okay? Unfortunately. Fine. So that's first and foremost is making it with love. Number two, from the best ways of making tea, before you even make the tea, you gotta make sure you have good tea, fine tea. Like anything else, fresh ingredients, quality ingredients. So the tea that you're looking to make, if you want it to be an experience, you gotta pay a little money for it. It's not gonna cost you, $1,000, that's crazy, but you can't buy, and there's no disrespect to no tea company, gonna make the riba of nobody. But if you buy 100 tea bags for $3, you get what I'm trying to say? Alright, so quality. Number three is knowledge must precede speech and action. So learn a few things about the water, about the temperature, about straining it, about the nature of this tea. What is tea supposed to taste like? What's it supposed to look like? What's it supposed to smell like? And there are many different books and lectures you can watch on what? On tea, right? After that, Bid'nai Ta'ala is keep it simple. Once you learn the theory, keep it simple. Don't make it more complicated than what? Than what it is. Alright? Afterwards, Bid'nai Ta'ala, like some real practical tips. Make sure that you use good water. And make sure that you don't burn the tea. You don't want to scorch the tea. We're talking about fine teas, loose leaf. Alright? And Bid'nai Ta'ala, make sure that your tea isn't too bitter. You can have a light style, full body, but you never want to have tea that's too bitter. And oftentimes, when they say let it steep for 2 to 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, from my humble experiences, that's too long. And it goes beyond full body to bitter. Right? And there are other principles as well.
If you use a tea bag, right? I hear somebody say, squeeze the tea bag.
If you want, you can. But good tea in a tea bag is going to come out. It's going to be infused. Once it meets the water, hot or cold, it'll come out. But if you want to get, the extra juice, that's fine, but you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. And a lot of things in tea, just like life, they're going to be based off of personal taste and preference. Well, long time. Inshallah, you can look forward to a few books and some workshops on the art of tea, according to the way of the disciple. Steep is the way to mastery. And if you look at that, that's double wordplay. Yeah. Steep physically, or the what?
Steep.
The tea being steeped. Now, steeping the tea is what? Is the way to master. Wallah. What you got, Ahmed?
Is powdered iced tea real tea?
Oh man. Stop. Is powdered iced tea real tea? Well, ask a coffee drinker about Nescafe. Instant coffee. I'm not against everything that's powdered though. There are some powders which are good, like cocoa, for example. And the other things which is good. But tea, iced tea in a powder, I wouldn't drink it if I was stuff dying of thirst in the desert, right? No doubt. Like being serious, I'm very picky when it comes to iced tea. Extremely finicky. You know, I don't want to mention no names. Anything that's come from a syrup or sitting in a bottle, it got to be real tea, right from a bag with steaming water,
And then
brewed. Yeah,
and then put in a cold plate.
yeah. It's a whole process. Hot tea is not as bad, but iced tea, no doubt. In a powder, I wouldn't be caught dead with it. Wallah.
What's your favorite brand of hot cocoa? You got Swiss Miss, Nestle. What else?
If I had to pick between Swiss Miss or Nestle, I go with Swiss Miss. The way it's up. No doubt. Back in the day, you couldn't eat the marshmallows. Marshmallows had gelatin in them. Wasn't no halal marshmallows when I was growing up. Marshmallows was straight khinzir. Anyone from those, nowadays they have marshmallows, halal marshmallows, but So, every now and then with the Swiss Miss, you would have to what? Marshmallows in the bag. So some people, they would sneak them. Your parents see like, well, what is that? Float on top of your hot cocoa. You only were allowed to what? Have the non-marshmallow mix. Wallah.
I'm on color.
Long sign. Khair, inshallah. Any other question? Father Ali.
I just wanted to continue the tea question session. How is tea made according to the Holy Prophet? I heard the Holy Prophet used to drink lemongrass tea.
Did the Holy Prophet ﷺ drink lemongrass tea? I'm unsure of this. I don't know. It's very interesting that you use the word lemongrass, whereas lemongrass is mentioned in the hadiths, etiquette. There's several different hadiths with regards to etiquette being mentioned in fiqh rulings. Scholars talk about etiquette being lemongrass. So, Allah, maybe it's possible that someone had used lemongrass and infused it and gave it to the Prophet ﷺ, but I don't know of it, so I can't speak on it. In general, the general rule of Allah is that things which are staple pieces of Middle Eastern, Arabic, Arabian culture came to the lands of the Arabs years later after the Prophet ﷺ. You can mention 3 or 4 main things. Which are they? Which are staple, but didn't exist in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Number 1, rice. Number 2, no, khubz is old. Bread, coffee, fat. Number 3, tea. And there's one more, which you have to be real. I mention it. Cigarettes. It's fact. Whether you like it or what, or not. Many countries of overseas, Arabs are smoking. It's like everybody smokes. Camel. Where do you think that comes from, Yahi? You ever think about that? Right? So if you read the history of tea, rice, coffee, cigarettes, and other things as well, you'll find when it came to the Arabian Peninsula, when it became infused with the Arabian culture, how different cultures, different races, different ethnicities introduced them to different things. The Persians, no doubt, and today the Middle Eastern, Arabian culture is in huge debt to the Persians. So many different aspects. And others as well. The Turks, right? Sultan Selim, the Grim Coffee House, and many, many other things as well. Right? The Abyssinians, the Ethiopians with regards to coffee, the coffee bean, many things like this. We didn't follow us a fight on this. The guy, he saw his goats were jumping up and down. And then he realized that those goats had
Cocoa beans.
they were what's the word I'm looking for? Grazing. In a location in which there were these red little ball-looking fruit things. They were eating coffee beans. The goats were what? High off caffeine. Wallahu a'lam. Let alone America, right? People talk about Muslims are terrorists, Muslims are killers, Muslims are this, Muslims are savages. Muslims are backwards, Muslims da-da-da-da, Muslims are immigrants, Muslims came to America, Muslims this, Muslims that, okay? Before you disrespect Islam and Muslims and people from the Middle East and people from this country, don't go to Starbucks in the morning. That's a fact. Because you are in debt for every single cup of Joe to dirty, terror-filled Muslims. If you want to get technical. And there are many, many other things that are part of our staple tradition to this day that came from races and religions that Western or Latin Christianity and Christians look down upon and scorn. So just be mindful, right? Many, many things. You'll be shocked. But we're talking about the Islamic contribution to society. And there are many great contributions. And from the most influential contributions is what? It's coffee. Coffee is a global icon. Now, below.
Now that you can have a serious conversation with coffee.
طيب اتفضل خالد.
My question is like a two-parter. The first part is a bathroom a part of the masjid, the toilet area. The second part is if you spend enough time in the bathroom, 15-20 minutes, and you come back out, do you have to pray 2 rak'ah when you enter back
Clear.
into the
Is the bathroom a part of the masjid? In reality, the person is going to say no for several reasons. One, it's not a place of prayer and dhikr. And secondly, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was no bathroom in the masjid. People lived very differently. People had to go out to use the bathroom to relieve themselves, to answer the call of nature. So this was something, other societies as well was unknown, right? So you can't really base a ruling of the bathroom being a part of the masjid based off of the sunnah because it didn't exist. All right, that's number one. How masjids are built and constructed in the United States, that's the longest question. And to a large extent, the masjid in general is going to be the musalla. To a large extent. Now, of course, with regards to something being sacred, disrespecting, you're going to take into consideration what? The whole building. But for real, the masjid, that's impermissible to do this, mandatory to do that, you can't do this, is going to be predominantly the musalla. As far as being in the bathroom for a very long time, coming back, making 2 rak'ah, so on and so forth. If you have the intention to come back within a short period of time, and it's not culturally something too long, okay, you don't have to necessarily make them again. But if it's a long period of time, or you didn't have the intention to make or to come right back, then yes. Wallahu a'lam. Anything else?
Should Islam encourage Muslims to stay in a non-Muslim country or discourage?
Does Islam encourage for Muslims to stay in a non-Muslim country or discourage? The general answer is it discourages it, let alone prohibits it. It's the general answer. It discourages it and prohibits it. Alright? And once again, just like the bathroom question, things in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, the Ulama, the Salaf al-Salih, for hundreds of years was nothing like how it is today. Alright? So the whole way that the world is very different than how it was back then. Muslims leaving their homes, making hijrah too. Alright, that's unfortunate, but it is reality. Whether we like it or not, it is how it is. Okay? And sometimes that's the best option. Not all the times, but what? Sometimes. Wallahu a'lam.
questions for Ron?
Fadl.
Initials SN from Melbourne, Australia. Is it permissible to buy a phone at a fixed price but on a monthly installment if the contract signed prescribed an additional payment as a form of penalty in the case of late payments?
Buying a phone on monthly installments and you being penalized for late payments, is that lawful? In general, potato. There's no way I can simplify it better than that. Some say potato, some say potato. Some say that a late fee is nothing more than fancy way of saying interest. Riba. You're late for debt, you pay more. Potato, right? And others, they say A late fee is not riba. Rather, there's a penalty for you paying late and for you not upholding your end of the contract. It's not interest, but it's us deterring you, shunning you from paying late. So it depends, honestly, what? On how you look at it. On how you look at it. What's important is try your best to pay on time. And a big part, I'm not a financial expert, that's a fact. I'm not an economic guru. But from the little that I have learned from the scholars of money, the scholars of finance, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, urban and suburban alike, street corner, bank, all scholars are scholars. People who know money, people who know about making it, spending it, saving it, investing it, flipping it, whatever their background is, it's important to understand it like that. Because many people, they think that a scholar is only white collar and not blue collar. And many people, they think that someone who's an expert is only someone in the office, and that's a lie. Someone who's an expert in life, of what they do in life. So therefore, people, they'll tell you that a big part of the problem of riba, interest, usually whatever, however you want to deal with it, credit cards, consumerism, etc., is you, the consumer, the person. You don't need this amount of credit. Pay on time. Don't buy something that you can't afford. It's out of your budget. If you can't pay it on time, then they say, what? You don't need it. All right? A debit card, spending money that you have versus a credit card, spending money what? So a big part of the whole problem is the greed, is the haste, is the lack of self-control of the actual servant. So if you controlled yourself, if you mastered yourself, if you had the reins of your own horse, most of the problems today you wouldn't even want. You wouldn't be. But it looks good, it smells good, it tastes good, it's flashy, it's fancy. I have to have the brand name. I have to have the house this big because my neighbor does. Our masjid has to look like this, so we take the riba because that masjid, look how they look, etc., etc. So it starts and it begins with you, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. It starts in what? It begins with you. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question. Initials SN from Melbourne, Australia. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. When going into ruku or sujood, if one makes a mistake in the takbir but immediately corrects themselves, do they have to make sujood as-sahl?
No, don't make sujood as-sahl if you immediately correct yourself. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question is from Jamaica, Queens. Initials SC. Is it from the sunnah to say, Allahumma inni asbahtu ushhiduka 4 times in the morning and evening, and that it will save you from Jahannam? I see some people say it's Hasan, some people say it's weak.
Like any other hadith or any other type of narration over which the ulama differ. Potato, once more. It depends on your perception. If you say it's sound, then you say it. If the hadith is not sound, then the person says, don't say it. What's important is there are many different athar that are authentic with regards to the morning, the afternoon, that you can say, let alone the general remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the different times of the day. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
Next question is from Ontario, Canada. Initials SA. What is the difference between the heavens and paradise?
What's the difference between the heavens and paradise? Jannah and the samawat. Samawat, samawat, meaning anything above you, the sky, the levels of the sky. Whether you do it from a scientific aspect or not, atmosphere, stratosphere, etc. What's above you? And Jannah, the physical place and location. Of course there's a difference between the two. Wallahu a'lam.
Initials AA from the Bronx, New York. Is it permissible to travel to a non-Muslim country or non-Muslim countries for fun and tourism?
Traveling to a non-Muslim country for fun and tourism. Many scholars, they prohibit this. And it's obvious why they prohibit it. But you can't go to a non-Muslim country for a vacation or for tourism. Many of those same problems are existing in the Muslim country. Alcohol, prostitution, banks, and the list goes on. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah.
Next question.
Further, yes.
Sheikh, can you recommend a book on authentic etiquette?
Recommend a book
You know.
on authentic adhkar. There's several. Of course, the Fortunes of the Muslim is a mainstay in Arabic and English. But the word authentic is always subjective. There are countless hadiths in the Fortunes of the Muslim over which there is difference of opinion on the grading of the hadith. However, I think to be realistic or to be fair, a big part of the word authentic book on adhkar is that it's not filled with fabricated hadiths. Or if there's one hadith in which there's khilaf, is it hasan or mawdu'? Versus the hadith is laced with what? The book is what? Laced with fabricated hadiths. It's full of fabricated hadiths, full of hadiths which are extremely weak. Versus there are a few issues what? Here and there. Sheikh Albani said it's hasan. Other scholars say munkar. Here and there. Versus the whole thing is based off of batil hadiths. And there are many adhkar books that are like that. So therefore, Fortunes of the Muslim, other books in Arabic and in English as well. Nawawi has an excellent book, Al-Adhkar, which is a larger work. It's not like a pocket book. And they have that in English as well, Remembrances. Tremendous book. Wallah, you can find it online. The Arabic is in the library. You get the PDF, and they also have a translation as well, the Remembrances. But that's a much larger work than Hisn al-Muslim, a pocket book. Wallah. Father Akhi, in the back.
Does Islam permit like combat sports, like perhaps like wrestling or maybe hurting?
Combat sports in general, if they lead to a good end, a good means, then inshallah they can be permissible and some could be mandatory or recommended. A sport that calls you to be aware, capable of defending yourself, capable of going on the offensive, right? And other things that are a part of our religion. But in general, sports as a whole, like the hijrah question, or the visit of a non-Muslim country, that itself, that's a band-aid on a broken bone. The culture of sports, the Romans, the Greeks, you understand? The Olympian, you understand? Sports, how the people look at sports, fun, money, consumerism, that's another concept, right? Alcohol, women, homosexuality, ego, working out, looking good, wearing tight clothes, that's a big, huge problem. The culture of sports that we're all guilty of, especially myself. Okay, but a combat sport, if you are doing it with the proper intention, and it doesn't fall under a specific prohibition, then inshallah khair. Wallahu.
Next question from online. Initials SN from Melbourne, Australia. Assalamu alaikum mufti. What does it mean to hate and have hatred in Islam?
To hate something and have hatred in Islam. I think that's clear. I don't think that needs a long definition or discussion. What's important is a person having a balanced hate and a person differentiating between hatred in theory and in practice. I hate someone because of their kufr versus I want to physically hate them and do things to them, etc. So there's a difference between translating hatred into deeds versus you just hating something with your heart or your tongue, etc. And of course, you're going to hate something, you're going to love something based off of what's in Quran and Sunnah. And everything in Quran and Sunnah is going to be based off of moderation. And it's going to be based off of taking into consideration the specific situation in which you're in. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question. Initials AM from Schenectady, New York. Can a sit down be in a person's house with potential spouse?
Can I sit down, be in a person's house with a potential spouse? And sit down can be wherever you want it to be. As long as it's according, or in accordance with what? Quran and Sunnah. You and her alone, no one else. Words, statements, things are being said, inappropriate, whatever. Physical contact, whatever. Whatever. You can do something haram in a public place in the masjid, or it could be lawful in your house, depending on what situation. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal.
Crypto,
Crypto? What you mean by crypto, Yahi?
cryptocurrency.
Be clear in this speech. I know many crypts. Which is what? Crypto. Or Bloods or whatever else, huh? Right now, the brothers wearing all blue in the back. I remember one time I had a red dog. Wallahi, brother said, he said, Sheikh, you down with it? I was like, lie. I'm not telling him. Lie, what do you mean? This is a red dog. I have nothing to do with what? The Republicans or the Democrats, right? Bloods and Crips along the time. Tight, move forward.
Next question. Initials IT from Roseville, California. How to stop?
Whose bright idea was that, Ahmed? Whose bright idea was that? Huh? Definitely not what? What did the poet say? 20 watt, what? Light bulb. Fadda. Akhi, don't bother my disciple Ahmed. Leave him alone. Yeah, don't force him into bad decisions, Akhi. Fadda.
No. Initials IT from Roseville, California. How do I stop?
As far as crypto and Islam, I'm sorry, the question all jokes aside. Many people asked this question before, and my answer is still the same. Cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin or other than that, is no different than dollar bills or other types of currency. There's halal, there's recommended good stuff about it, and then there are things which are clearly, and there's some things which is, more than one way of looking at it. What's important is, once again, money as a whole, dollar bills as a whole, credit, that the whole system is what? It's a problem. Trading and bartering a thing, a price being set, fixed, inflation, okay, a banknote, legal tender. If you want to know the reality of cryptocurrency and then some of the Islamic rulings, then I would advise you to study the history of economics and finance in this country and in the world. Right? We said the creature of Jekyll Island, right? You look at how scary the history of money is. All right? And then perhaps you'll come out with a clear conclusion that you can't say something's haram just because it's new. That's what many people is. Just because of cryptocurrency is all about it's haram. Nah, it doesn't work like that. Yeah. Wallahu a'lam. Creature or monster of Jekyll Island, one of the two. Nah? Which one did he ask? Subhanallah. Next question, Khalid.
Initials IT from Roseville, California. How do I stop an addiction?
How do you stop with addiction? Well, addiction is different from thing to thing. But in general, I think one of the most important pieces of etiquette is sincerity. Now, who's going to eat that pizza after you what?
Slack it up, Jake.
Handle the every slice, right? This is a serious question. Sahih, Alameen or not?
Didn't see anything.
I did. May Allah help us and guide us. I mean, tight. So I think one of the most important things of stopping an addiction is being sincere. Are you sincere? Do you really want to stop? Are you really terrified and scared? Are you ashamed? Are you really trying to stop? I'm not saying that sincere people don't make mistakes and they don't have relapses, but a big part of breaking it is being sincere, being honest. I really want to stop. Versus, I know it's a bad thing, but I'm too weak right now and I can't.
I'm training myself.
Okay? Secondly is, I would say, is to realize that you may not have the ability to stop. Your heart is in Allah's hands. Ask Allah, beg Allah. Alright? Be mindful that you're weak. The proof that you're weak is that you got addicted. The proof that you're weak is that you remained addicted for all these years. And the proof that you're weak is that you may not have the ability, to do it by yourself. In most cases, you don't. So be a weak slave in the sight of Allah. Remove your pride. Secondly, or last but not least, is after that, is to realize your human weakness among other human beings. And I think one of the greatest tricks of the self and of the devil is a person saying, I can stop when I want to. I can stop whenever I feel like it. I'm not, I just do it. I can stop. It doesn't mean nothing. No, you can't. And after Allah's help, you may also need the help of what? Other human beings. Your friends, your family members. You know, look, now I'm messed up, man. Help me out. Force me. Do whatever you got to do. I can't do it myself. So I think that the mind game is the first line of defense. After that, of the spirit. Allahu A'lam. Father Khalid.
Initials RA from Boston, Massachusetts. Is it permissible to wear Jordans?
Is it permissible to wear Jordans? The answer to this question may be a little, or may be controversial, right? I mean, I don't see anything prohibited with wearing them. Wallahu A'lam. There may be some issues. Somebody may say with the price of the Jordans, it's an off extremism or extravagance. Maybe. I know people that got killed for what? Jordans back in the day, late 80s, 90s, right? I don't know.
They still do.
They still do? Yeah. There you go. Somebody may look at it from that aspect. It's extreme. It's not just a nice sneaker, a nice shoe, or trainer, whatever you call it. But in itself is a fashion statement. There are plenty of sneaker brands that are nice, that are comfortable, that give you, this is a what?
Sure.
For sure. Somebody may look at it from that aspect. This person may look at it from the aspect of the jump man, right? Tasweer. Or the different poor children in Vietnam or Bangladesh, working 18 hours a day for pennies, getting their fingers cut off, right? In sweatshops, for you to have your what? Your Jordans.
Not even knowing if you're in 13 or 10.
Jordan 12 or whatever else you want to call them.
They don't ask about Gucci though.
No, right? And apply that around that what? All around the board, right?
Not just Nike.
Not just Michael, huh? Like, move forward. Next question. Next question, Carla.
Next question. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Initials SD from Palembang, Indonesia. Is it true that saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is only specific to...
He's a bad influence on you, Ahmed. That's a fact. That's clear. Allah Musta'an. Fadl Khalid.
No.
Clear.
Is it true?
Fadl.
Is it true that saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is only specific to the opening of a surah? And other than that, the daily usage throughout the day should be just saying Bismillah.
Saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim being exclusive to the opening of a surah, and other than that, the daily usage should be Bismillah. Well, maybe. A person may make that argument. What's important is you mention Allah's name before getting dressed, before taking off your clothes, according to some hadiths, before you eat, before a man is intimate with his wife, before you enter your car, before you go on a journey. Okay? Sometimes you say the whole thing, sometimes you just say Bismillah. You say it's exclusive just to the beginning of the surah and you can't say it, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, before class or a lecture. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I would say is that the hadith says Samillah, say Allah's name, mention Allah's name. And the asl of that term, Samillah, is to say Bismillah, and not necessarily the entire Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, but to say it's exclusive just to the beginning of the surah, I wouldn't agree with that. Wallahu ta'ala. Fadl Rabir.
In regards to reading the Quran, how often do you need to say ta'awudh?
How often do you need to say ta'awudh? You say it in the beginning of the recitation, and you say it after you take a pause or break and you go speaking to people, talking about worldly things. When you go back, you make the isti'adah again.
Exactly.
Wallahu a'lam. Fadl Khalid.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Initials AA from Manitowoc, Wisconsin. He says, a girl is interested in me. What should I do? Please help.
A girl is interested in you. What should you do? Please help. It depends on you. Are you interested in her or not? If you are interested in her, just tell her kindly. May Allah bless you. May Allah give you a good brother, but I can't help you.